We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome, coming to you live from the studios of LA Talk Live in sunny Los Angeles, California. This is Alayna's Beauty Talk and more, and I'm your host, Alayna. We're here to talk about beauty and more and all its expressions every Wednesday at noon Pacific time. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is Alayna's Beauty Talk and more on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
I'm about it. No more searching. Love, I found it. Ended up with my heart and soul. About time that you know. If you just believe and see like I see, you'll know that the world is yours to own. Just follow my lead beyond material things. It's time to let you know you're better than beautiful. You're better than
Beauty magnets, Cleopatra's beauty ritual. Beauty magnets are a modern-day spin on an ancient beauty secret. Beauty magnets are a unique system of relaxation, revitalization, and renewal. Face and spirit reach a new level of balanced beauty, making you look and feel radiant. Tiny charged magnets increase circulation, promoting the look and feel of a natural lift. Face and spirit reach a new level of balanced beauty. De-stress your face with magnet therapy. Beauty Magnets of Beverly Hills, Hollywood. Available at www.beautymagnets.com. That's www.beautymagnets.com. Beauty Magnets, Cleopatra's beauty ritual, and proud sponsors of Alayna's Beauty Talk. Hey everyone, this is Richard Carr, Business Relations Manager for LA Talk Live. Did you know social media produces almost double the marketing leads of trade shows, telemarketing, direct mail, or even pay-per-click ads? And that about 46% of all online users count on social media when making that ever-important purchase decision. Hey, if you feel lost when it comes to social media, Top Tier Media can help you. Top Tier Media specializes in social media management and blogger outreach for beauty, fashion, health, and lifestyle brands. To learn more, go to www.toptiermedia.com. That's www.toptiermedia.com. Top Tier Media, the official social media marketing company of LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network.
Welcome back to Alayna's Beauty Talk and more. This is going to be an amazing show. So everybody, you have to stay tuned to the whole show if possible. If not, it will be up on my page and probably up on Facebook, but you'll be able to find it. We are going to be talking about emotional eating, and also I think we'll probably go off on different tangents, but it's the beginning of the year, and if we can get you to understand how to eat healthy, you don't have to be perfect, because none of us are perfect. If you try and be perfect, you can never stay on a plan. But how to just stay healthy. That's basically what we're going to talk about. But emotional eating this time of year is very important, because we don't really, sometimes we'll just sit there and eat a whole gallon of ice cream and then we don't even realize that we've done it. So I have the best people here to talk about it. I've been so excited. I've been trying to get Ruth Smith back on the show. And she adopted a baby 4.5 months ago. It's okay to say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, she adopted a really cute little baby boy 4 months ago. So now she's gotten in the mommy routine, and so she's able to come back and share her knowledge. And also her partner, Katie Hill, is here to kind of keep the conversation going. They've worked together for quite a while. They own a company called sagewellnessla.com. And I'm thrilled to have you guys as guests on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yay! I've been bugging you since before you got the baby. When can you come back?
Yeah, well, no, it's definitely a pleasure to be back.
Okay, I think you might have to, I don't know if your chair will pull up or pull your mic out, because we got to talk really close into the mics, because I want people to hear every word you have to say, because it's really important.
Got it.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, give us a little
Sure.
background about you, and I don't know which one of you want to give the background on the company. I'll let you guys figure it out.
Okay.
So welcome. And
Sure.
we go.
Well, again, thank you for having us. I'm Ruth Smith. I'm a health and nutrition coach, as is Katie Hill. And together we started sagewellnessla.com 4.5 years ago. And we really wanted to make a big impact in the workplace, in the community. So we've been doing a lot of programming going into the workforce and being able to present educational topics to empower individuals in order to empower their health. So personally speaking, I have a really just strong passion for health in terms of where I've come from. I worked in the corporate world for umpteen years in HR management, and now, there came a point when my health just totally failed me. And for 3 years, I was really, really sick, to the point where I couldn't even get off the couch when I got home from work. And so I knew something needed to change. And it got so bad that I ended up leaving my job after a year because I was in so much pain. And
what kind of pain?
Oh, just joint pain. I had really bad brain fog. I couldn't put a sentence together. I was unable to go to grocery stores or restaurants because I was having anaphylactic reactions to eggs. And it was just through working with a series of alternative practitioners who really introduced me to nutrition, who were able to actually understand that it wasn't just fibromyalgia or some other chronic condition, that they got to the heart of it and found that it was actually a gluten sensitivity. And after I removed gluten, then I regained my health pretty shortly thereafter. And so I don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through. 3 years is too long to suffer. And that's where I get really passionate about helping people change their lives.
You can even hear it in your voice talking about it.
And that's kind of very similar to my story. This is Katie Hill. And so Ruth and I we started the company based on the fact that we both had these really suffering experiences in the workplace. I was in my 20s, and I'm naturally a very high energy person, and had worked I worked in news for a long time, and had a great job in the entertainment industry and really loved what I was doing, but I would be exhausted. I would come back from lunch and I was somebody that felt like I needed to crawl under my desk to take a nap, or I'd go out at night with my friends and we'd have wine and I would be asleep after 2 glasses of wine. I was someone that could never really drink or tolerate alcohol, and it would always put me to sleep. And I just began to wonder, why is it that I'm so exhausted all the time? And I went to a series of doctors here in LA, and people handed me different purple pills and other colors of pills and ultrasounds and all sorts of things. And everyone said, oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with your digestive system. I was also bloated all the time. And so I finally, it took a series of incidents before I went and saw a nutritionist and realized that I needed to take my health back in under my control. I thought that I ate healthy because I wasn't somebody that gained a lot of weight, and that's kind of a misconception that I also want to help a lot of people understand too, that, just because you don't gain weight doesn't mean that you're not eating super healthy, or that you're not eating the best foods for your body. And so it took me, cutting out dairy and some other things out of my diet in order to rebuild my gut health, which took about 2 to 3 years. And then I really built back up my body, which was also very important for me because I knew that I wanted to have kids one day. And now I have a 2.5-year-old and I'm pregnant with my second. And that's, I thank you.
And soon you'll be able to get into your pregnant jeans.
Yes, which I actually like my pregnant jeans. They're super comfy. I think most women do like the excuse of wearing pregnant jeans. I don't know. But now, and I work with a lot of women now that are in their 20s and 30s that are wanting to have kids, that are all about kind of restoring their body, whether it is, weight loss or digestive issues, but they know that they have to begin to rebuild their body, because especially if you're going to, procreate and grow another human being inside you, you want to be healthy, and you want all your systems to work. So back to Sage Wellness, and when we started that, it was just Ruth and I had really, suffered from our own suffering, that we wanted to be able to share with people, busy people, which are, people that are working, which we didn't have time at the end of our days to go read magazines, and not that magazines have all the answers, but do all the research and try to figure out all these problems. It really took the alternative practitioners that we worked with, and we wanted to be able to be that help for those. So we would go into the workplace, and we started Sage Wellness primarily working in corporations and giving workshops on nutrition and eating for energy, and how to deal with sugar cravings, and the caffeine alcohol cycles, and weight loss, and all of these topics that we talk about, in a corporate setting, because that's where people are. Everybody works, and so you got to be able to go to them, and these companies are supporting their employees by allowing us to come in and coach them either one-on-one, especially those companies that have employees that really want to lose a lot of weight, or had a heart attack, or really need a big health change, and they'll bring us in to coach those employees privately and lead workshops.
That's so wonderful that corporations are still doing that.
Yeah.
They haven't cut that out, because it's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It's so important. All right. Where do you want to start with emotional eating? Is that a good place for us
Definitely.
to start our
let's dive in.
conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you explain what emotional eating is? I don't know if there's a long enough time for that.
That's why I was just thinking, where do we even begin?
I know.
What my
That's a great term, emotional eating, but it covers a lot of ground.
It absolutely does. And who doesn't emotionally eat? When we're talking about emotionally eating, a lot of times we're talking about, when we feel sad or lonely or depressed or anxious, do we turn to food for comfort? And so many times we do, and so it's making sure that we have the right resources in place, the support groups, the right foods on hand, and not the wrong foods to be able to turn to in those instances, but also recognizing and making that connection between what you're eating and the emotion that you're feeling.
Creating that awareness.
It's all about the awareness.
Okay, let's stop there. How do you how can we tell people today on the show how to find that awareness? I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great place to start. And this is we want to provide one exercise for all of you listeners out there, and for you to go through to really find and tap into where those emotions might be playing in when it's coming to hindering your health. So what...
You want to draw a circle?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'll talk while you draw.
Sure.
So you probably know, you can easily say, okay, when I'm stressed out, I eat, or when, or if I, just went through a breakout, I eat, breakup, I eat. Sometimes it's about falling in love. Sometimes you don't eat when you fall in love, but then sometimes you eat out all the time because you're in love, and you and your boyfriend are going out to eat all the time, But so there's all these things you can say, okay, it's stress, or I can identify some of these, areas, but to really pinpoint it down, you want to know what area of your life is really causing you that stress, and what is it that you're triggering. So part of it, we're going to go through this exercise, is on one surface level, but then digging down, ultimately it's about looking at where things started and potentially in your childhood, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So Ruth, take off with your circle.
Yeah. So basically what we do is we consider this to be the circle of life. Here we go. And, this is a very simplified version of it, and everyone can do this at home. is just take a moment and draw a circle on a piece of paper. And then go ahead and bisect that circle and just kind of make spokes of a wheel.
How many?
You can do somewhere between 6 and 8. It kind of depends on your lifestyle and what you're looking to achieve. I kind of find that these are the major ones. So we label one spoke relationship, and we label another spoke finance, another spoke health, another spoke exercise, another spoke career. The list can go on and on and on. You can add spirituality. You can add education into that as well.
Like your home life, your cooking.
Yeah, cooking, your home life. There's so many different.
But I think you should start simple.
So start simple, and that's why basically I just wrote down these first few. And then to figure out how satisfied you are in these different areas. So, for instance, if you're really satisfied in your relationships, then you would go ahead and put a dot as close to the top of that circle as possible.
The outside
version. And then if you're unsatisfied, you would put it as close to the center of that dot as you can in the middle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So if you're somewhere, in between a lot of these things you feel, okay, I'm somewhat satisfied, or more or less, you just put your dot somewhere along that line to indicate your level of satisfaction with that area of your life.
Right. So for instance, if your career is really high and you're extremely satisfied in career and you have that dot way out there on the outer edge of the circle, that's fantastic. And then let's say maybe you've really focused on your career, but your relationships are really low. Or maybe your finance is also really high because you focused on your career and you're bringing in a great paycheck. So then all of a sudden you're connecting the dots and you're seeing that where it becomes very clear about the areas that you are lacking in and maybe need to focus on to bump up your satisfaction and drive.
So where in this example, if your career may be your bread and butter, and you may love it, and you may be very passionate about it, but it also may be the thing that really stresses you out. So instead of trying to focus on, what is it about my career and the stress, look at more of the relationships. Okay, maybe I need to make more time for relationships. I need to move this to the outer edge of the circle and bring up my satisfaction in that area of my life, is exactly what Ruth is saying. And so that is your stress relief, because you're building more into your relationships, which will ultimately help, your stress relief.
So a lot of times when we're talking about emotional eating, we're seeing that there's that lack of satisfaction in one particular area, and then we end up working on increasing that satisfaction and steering away from food as being the actual comfort.
So, for example, I had a client I was working with last Friday, and we did this circle, and one of the spokes also on the circle is confidence. And she felt that confidence was really her weakest link, that she just doesn't have as much confidence as she would like. And so we talked about that a little bit, and we kind of, because she's a sugar addict, and she will admit that too, and she loves all the baked goods and cookies and cakes and things like that. And so instead of me telling her, okay, no more sugar, which is also a solution. Try to go 3 days without sugar. But instead of me taking that sugar away from her, we're now focusing on her confidence. And I gave her a couple of different affirmations to say that were pertinent to her life. And anyone can Google the term affirmation. And if there's anything in your life you want to work on, there's an affirmation out there on the internet for you. You just find it and read it. And so by her practicing and saying that affirmation, every day, that's going to start to build her confidence, and some other things, that I'm working on her with as well.
But did you cut her back on her sugar, or she's going to do it herself?
She will, and that's what I believe. I mean, I've been working with her for a couple months now, and so there have been times where we did cut back her sugar, and she was successful at that. But then, of course, with the holidays, it crept back in. And so now I'm trying a different approach with her, because I really, after doing this and her really saying that she wanted to address her confidence issue, I realize it's much more about her confidence than it is about her sugar craving. That if she has the confidence in herself and recognizes that gratitude and appreciation towards food, that it's going to the nourishment of her body, and that she appreciates her food and is grateful for her food, because she believes that way about herself, because she's grateful for her body and that she believes in her body and she's confident in who she is, she will start to change that relationship with sugar, as opposed to me just cutting it out and saying, okay, which is, it's a Band-Aid for now. But what I want to do ultimately is change her relationship with sugar and creating that awareness.
Yeah, one of the things that I think really makes Katie and I successful when working with our individual clients is that we add in to life. You know, we add in healthy foods. We add in a lot of these life-affirming ways of being so that someone can actually be lifted up and elevated in who they are rather than hampered and, you know, feeling really restricted in their diet and lifestyle.
Yeah, because that doesn't work for long.
It doesn't work. It's not a long-term solution.
Yeah, diets don't work is one of the things that we say, because so many diets are really, really restrictive. And although they have an appropriate time and place, not necessarily a quote-unquote diet, but restrictions like what Ruth and I both talked about. You know, she had a gluten out, had to take gluten out of her diet, and you know that has so much more to do with there are lots of symptoms and things like that that we look at for that. Or myself was sensitive to dairy and, you know, took that out, and that really began to change my digestive system. So yeah, and sometimes it's appropriate to take things out, but at the same time, it's all about adding the good stuff back in. I mean, we brought a bunch of good stuff and bad stuff.
Yes, I see.
But you know, so many diets are really restrictive, especially with calorie counting. I mean, that's just one of the it's great to be mindful and to create an awareness and to maybe look up and see if there's something that you eat on a regular basis, you know, to know how many calories that is, especially if you're eating out. And a lot of places that are quote unquote healthy, or these fast casual like Panera, or maybe I shouldn't be naming names, I don't know.
Whatever, that's
okay,
fine.
good. So you know, there's a lot of calories jammed in a Panera sandwich, and it may seem healthy, but you know, a lot of them are really unhealthy, and so you have to look at where you're going. Even there's in LA, there's a restaurant called Tender Greens, which has a lot of really delicious healthy food, but they also have a vegan entree that has like the most sodium in it I've ever seen, like with anywhere. It's so crazy. So, you know, you're vegan and you think you're being healthy because you're not eating, you know, saturated fat from meat or anything like that. But at the same time, you're getting a ton of sodium. So
See, I watch the sodium more than I watch anything.
Yeah. And that's really important. The sodium and the calories and you know, having that awareness.
I never realized that bagels had so many calories and so much sodium.
Yeah, they're very high in sodium. Yeah, a lot of baked goods are. It's amazing.
Yeah,
when you really get down to it.
Well, I was really surprised.
And it's more about the foods that you're eating every day. So, you know, if you're a bagel person and you're eating a bagel every single day and it's really high in sodium, then you need to know how to balance that the rest of your day with your diet. So you want to add in, you know, more of the good foods. And we talk a lot about dark leafy green vegetables, which is the number one food missing in the American diet. And so that's really what we do, a lot of focusing on just getting people to eat more greens.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because we have a lot of people listening at work. So what do you have stuff in front of you that's very green? I can see it from here.
Some of our favorites.
Yes, you want to try some kale?
Not right this second. But how did kale get so popular?
Yeah, they have a marketing committee, I guess.
I mean, everywhere you go now, kale salad,
kale and quinoa.
Kale and quinoa.
I eat a lot of quinoa.
But I thought it was really funny. One of my friends posted on Facebook the other day. She's like, I am now officially defriending everybody that posts about quinoa and kale.
Well, I think those are two things that are also so 2013 when we're kind of moving into new genres of vegetables and food groups too. So
okay,
anyway,
hold up
go
the
back to the
kale.
greens.
Let's talk about kale.
So this is actually my morning smoothie that I do in January and February. I started it last year. There's a food blog that I love called Green Kitchen Stories, and she posted this smoothie recipe last January, and my husband and I made it every day for probably like almost 2 to 3 months into March, and then I did it again this year, and it's just so good. So I take a kale, and I take a couple leaves of kale, and you can either do this in a juicer or you can do it in a blender and then kind of strain it. But I take kale, and then I take fennel and half of fennel. And then I take pineapple, which you can. I ate some of the pineapple this morning, so I only came with half the top to represent the pineapple. So then, a little bit of pineapple, and you get the taste for it. I mean, everyone says how much, but you just start putting it in, you blend it, you'll get the taste for what you like. Little handfuls of everything. Some apple, ginger, and ginger is really great in this because it's very warming. So this time of year, especially if you're living in a cold state, and many people are in very cold places right now, ginger is an excellent food to incorporate into your diet, and especially in the morning, even if you just make a ginger tea with lemon or something like that. It's very warming for the body, very earthy and balancing, and it kind of helps ground you a little bit more. So I throw ginger in. It's really great for men too, and then some lemon, which lemon is really good for detoxifying the body, and the kale, of course, is the dark leafy green, which is also has all these just jammed with nutrients, which is why I think that it's gotten so much play in the last year, is because it's much more of a nutritional powerhouse than spinach is, although they're both wonderful and you should rotate through. But the vitamins and minerals that are packed in kale, it's just incredible. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. And then the pineapple and the fennel are both very detoxifying, and the apple is detoxifying as well.
But apple, doesn't that add some sugar and some sweetness to
Certainly
it?
The pineapple and the apple,
Yeah.
both add sugar and sweetness to it, but that's what makes it taste good.
I know. That's what I mean. Without that, it wouldn't taste very good.
Well,
And one of the things too, I mean, if you're doing it in the blender, then you have the fiber from both the pineapple and the apple, which is really important. It will help slow the digestion of the metabolism of the sugar. So
and allow you to absorb the vitamins better.
Yep.
And so then I will take a half an avocado to a whole. If I'm making it for my husband, and I take the whole thing, and I put it in with a half or the whole avocado and blend it up, which is your really good fats. It's so important to everybody that talks about wanting to lose weight, and they get scared of eating fats. Well, you have to eat fatty foods, and or you have to eat foods with fat, and so avocados, nuts, seeds, these are great forms of getting fat in your diet, fish oil, things like that. So this is our fat. So this, to me, it has everything. It's so good, and the avocado does thicken it. And on her blog, Green Kitchen Stories, she poured it into a bowl and topped it with granola and almost, kind of ate it like a cereal. So I do that sometimes too, and then sometimes I just drink it straight up. But that's my greens that I was going to...
Okay, so if you don't like greens like me for breakfast, because I like something warm.
Yeah.
You can have that in the evening.
Yeah, you could... I would say to
but
have...
maybe not juice it. I would have it maybe midday or lunchtime
midday,
instead.
Yeah, keep it midday.
You're going to... Because of the sugars in it and things like that, it's better to have that, not right before you go to bed.
But you could make a kale salad or...
Oh, totally.
Oh,
and one of the things about kale, and so I know we'll tie this back into emotional eating too, because, part of it is getting, like Ruth and I were talking about, is getting more of the good stuff in and less of the bad stuff you're, crowding out. So the more of this that you have in your diet, the less you're going to start to crave that sugar. And I know Ruth will talk about some of the other things that she brought too that are related to this. But when you make a kale salad, this is one of the things I think it's really interesting. You have to massage the kale.
Okay, that always sounded so weird
Where's
to
the
me.
music, right?
Richard can play music. He's good at that.
Wow, wow, wow. Massage. Yeah, bow, chicka, wow, wow. Sensual.
Yes.
So you put a little bit of, you can either do salt, a little bit of sea salt, or a little bit of olive oil, and it'll really kind of break down some of the kind of the wall, so to speak, that's in the plant that helps then release the nutrients to make them more available. So if you chop up your kale or break it up with your hands or whatever, then just get in there either with a little olive oil or a little sea salt or both, and then massage the kale. Is this our massage music?
It's a massage music. It's also our break music.
Okay. And you massage your kale, and it'll...
do you have to do it in small pieces like that, or can you do
you
it
do
like...
the whole, like...
That's what I was going to say. If you did
Yeah.
it like
Do
that,
all-
it would take
No,
you
you
an
gotta
hour.
really get into it.
Each kale needs its own hand massage.
All right. Well, besides massaging the kale, this is also our break music. So we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to go right back into our conversation about emotional eating and all the wonderful things that we have on the table and some surprises that we have to tell you about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Katie, Ruth, and I will be right here waiting for you. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is Alayna's Beauty Talk and more on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
That each different time will bring, or in peace our hearts will sing. Thanks to Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and hosts of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk. Hey everyone, this is Richard Carr, Business Relations Manager for LA Talk Live. Did you know social media produces almost double the marketing leads of trade shows, telemarketing, direct mail, or even pay-per-click ads? And that about 46% of all online users count on social media when making that ever-important purchase decision. Hey, if you feel lost when it comes to social media, Top Tier Media can help you. Top Tier Media specializes in social media management and blogger outreach for beauty, fashion, health, and lifestyle brands. To learn more, go to www.toptiermedia.com. That's www.toptiermedia.com. Top Tier Media, the official social media marketing company of LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Are we back on cam? Oh, okay. Sorry, I was watching her drink her water out of that that great little glass. So we'll talk about that too. Okay. Well, let me welcome everybody back. My shows have been a little off since the beginning of the year. Sorry about that, but we are here. We're here to give you great information. So welcome back to Alayna's Beauty Talk and more. I am here with SageWellnessLA.com, Ruth Smith and Katie Hill, and they're giving out amazing information. If you missed it, we were just massaging kale. But we really are talking about emotional eating, and in this segment we're going to really try and get to some of the causes of emotional eating, because sometimes we just eat and we have no idea why Well, I think most of the time we do know why we're eating. We just don't want to face why we're eating. We're trying to hide it through the emotional eating, saying, "Oh, well, tomorrow I'll do it tonight, but tomorrow it'll be better. I'll start back on my regular food." But then it
Yep.
gets hard. The
Yep.
more you start eating emotionally, the harder it is
Especially
to get
Separate
back.
yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely is an issue because you start then perpetuate that cycle, and then all of a sudden it's kind of out of control, and you just don't even know why the root cause of it, it was in the first place.
And then you start doing it at the same time.
Yep. Yep.
It's just that's something that once you start.
Yeah, even if you've gotten over the emotion,
Yeah.
you're still cycling through and still reaching for that piece of food or candy or pizza or whatever it is. Yeah, and so it's important to know why you're doing something or why you're eating something in the first place. And so many of us turn to those unhealthy foods, the fatty foods, the fast foods. I actually brought with me today, this is a 5-year-old.
Oh, Richard just stepped out.
Oh, he did. Oh, well, we can come back
Let's
to
come
it.
back to that when
Okay.
he's here, because he was so amazed by that.
Well, we'll come
We'll
back
come
to
back.
that.
Richard is our producer engineer on my show. He just stepped out for a second. So he just left us in the room by ourselves.
Oh, well,
Oh, we're here.
Here we are. So anyway, but we reach for these foods that are just unhealthy for us, and they end up bogging us down and making us feel really sluggish. So it's important to find foods and know why we're massaging kale, for instance, or why we need that dark leafy green in our diets. And one of the theories behind that is that dark leafy greens actually provide us with energy, and they can be very just uplifting in their very nature because of all things, they grow up from the ground and they take in the sunlight, and the sunlight, helps to transform chlorophyll. And when we take in that chlorophyll in our bodies, it's like taking in that sunlight. So we're kind of lifted when we eat greens. So one of the things that I know we'd like to challenge everyone, out there to do is if you're feeling a little bit down or if you're feeling sluggish, try to have some dark green salad. Try to have some kale. Try to have a green juice and see how quickly that can actually boost up your emotions and make you feel energized and uplifted again. So that's one particular reason why you should eat dark leafy greens.
And then we also have, root vegetables, which have the opposite effect of that. Ruth brought a very large sweet potato.
Yeah. So people could see it on camera.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different things about sweet potatoes. One is they're very grounding. So for someone that's like the high energy, tends to be scatterbrained, like you never know where you put your keys kind of person, you kind of need more root vegetables in your life. You need to be more grounded. So look for those foods that kind of grow in the ground, like the carrots and the sweet potatoes and the beets and things like that. But you're also probably the person that really loves the greens because that's your natural personality, but try to balance that with more of the roots. If you're somebody that you like to sit and think, or you're a little bit, slower to move, or you're not as high energy, but you're very inquisitive and you love reading, or things, that are just very grounding in nature, or you're just a very grounded person and you might really do need more dark leafy greens or just energizing greens, foods that grow up, which are a lot of the lettuces and things like that, or even like apples, that grow high up on trees, and fennel that grows up and things like that.
Okay, I have just a funny question. What's the difference between sweet potatoes and yams? Are there any? I mean, one besides the color?
Yeah, so there's it's just like a technicality, there's Japanese sweet potatoes, there's regular sweet potatoes, there's yams, but you can talk about it. It has to do with just their nature of where they started and
actually
names.
a sweet potato and a yam are from two different families, but they have the same kind of root structure, so they're different vegetables, but
do they give you the same results?
They do give you the same results. Yeah.
Okay, Richard's back. We stopped because she was going to do the hamburger, and I made her wait till you came to make sure that everybody could see it.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to come on the mic for this? Okay, he's shaking his head. Definitely no.
So So, like we were kind of getting into, a lot of people turn to fast food for comfort. And when you're having that emotional pull, you're lonely, it's easy to go through a drive-through, but what are you really getting through that drive-through window? This is actually our almost 5-year-old hamburger.
You can say what,
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's perfect in condition. So the bun is all in one piece. The patty is all in one piece. I'll take that off. The cheese is all in one piece. There's absolutely zero mold.
Can you see that on the camera? Okay.
So zero mold on this really highly processed, loaded with preservatives piece of, if we can even call it, food. And if you've noticed, here are these lovely fries that still have maintained their shape and their beautiful golden color.
Which you might remember if you have kids and you've had fries in the back of your car and you find them, months later,
underneath
years
the
later,
seat.
tucked away. Like they don't change.
Yeah.
Because they're chock full of preservatives.
So this is why it's really important. The reason why I brought this is to say, yes, emotional eating leads oftentimes to this, but what is it really doing to your long-term health? How long is this actually staying in your body? You'd much rather have some nice fresh food like the kale, the apple, or the avocado to keep you satisfied, and also find some way of meeting your emotional need rather than turning to something like this that's just going to end up deteriorating your health over the long run.
I mean, if you have one every once in a while, how bad is that?
Depends on the person. That's not something. I mean, I would never.
Okay.
I wouldn't eat it.
Well, I haven't had one, and I can't even even remember the
But you
last.
do have to make choices, and that's why that's why we just constantly say like it's all about the good, adding more of the good in, and then understanding why you're making those decisions for the bad.
Yeah. Well, and also there's ways to prepare yourself. If you're an emotional eater, you know that you're going to reach for something sugary, like this, 5-pound gummy bear of all things, right? So you are just a sugar holic, and some of us, I call myself a recovering sugar addict. We reach for those foods, or you reach for something salty. So it's important not to have those things in the house or within reach, and instead find other foods to be able to reach for that are going to be more nutritious. So for instance, if you're one to always have potato chips in the house, and because you crave that real salty sensation and taste, and you reach for those when it's 10 o'clock at night after your dinner, right before bed, because there's nothing else to do and you're bored. Well, instead, it might be worth actually having something like this really highly high grain cracker in the house rather than those potato chips. It satiates the crunchiness that you might be longing for, and you actually get some nutritional benefit from it. So that is kind of one of those swaps that we try to have people make in order to make it easier to stay away from the stuff that's not as good for you.
And a lot of times people will say, well, I don't buy that stuff. My husband buys it or my wife buys it. But at the end of the day, if that's true, then you need to have that conversation with whoever you're living with, and to be able to say, your roommates, whoever it is, to say, I really need to try and improve my health. I'm really trying to make a change in my life. If you're going to buy this for you, can you, buy it and either hide it from me, not tell me where it is, but then that's really not a good thing because ultimately you kind of force them to crack and tell you where it is.
True.
But just say, can we try going 2 weeks without buying this? And can you do this with me and for me? And can we do it together? And chances are if you're living with that person, they love you on some level. And so, it's a way for them, it's a solidarity. You guys are doing it together. And if you're married, then yeah, they want to support you and they want to support your health and or you love each other, whatever your relationship is. And so just having that like good, honest, face-to-face conversation, not in, the heat of the 10 o'clock binge that you may be having at night or whatever, but, find sometime the next day when you're just out of the kitchen or you're out of your space or, just call them up at work or wherever it is and just say, I want to have this conversation with you tonight. I want to talk to you about how I can eat healthier and, these chips are really my weakness or this candy or this chocolate or, that kind of thing.
That's true. What about with kids? I mean, you experience it. You have a little one. You're gonna have you have a newborn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do have to keep some kid-friendly food.
Well, I mean, like, um, I don't keep any. I mean, kid-friendly food,
I don't know. I'm
yeah, I
just
know,
using
sorry.
that word.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, my daughter, when it comes to, raising kids, and this is what, I talk a lot about, and I work a lot with moms on how to begin to make these changes in their home if they don't already have kids that are eating healthy. But if you have the opportunity to start, from the very beginning, if, anyone out there even has a daughter or someone that's about to have a baby or something like that, it's really about understanding at the very beginning the foods that you introduce. My daughter, I've never had goldfish in the house. She's never had like frozen waffles or, fried chicken fingers or a lot of these foods that are supposedly kids' food. And I mean, she's had mac and cheese a handful of times, but it's not, a staple in our house by any means. So the foods that she eats are like last night she had carrots and peas and jasmine rice, and then she has a lot of sweet potatoes and broccoli and lentils and beans, and then if I make meat, she loves chicken, and I mean these are the foods that she eats, and that's what she eats for lunch. And of course, like I said, she's 2.5, so she's still at home, so I can control all of her food. But this is what I'm introducing to her palate. This is what she knows. She knows sweet potatoes are sweet to her. Beets are sweet, carrots are sweet. So many of the vegetables are sweet vegetables, and that's one of the things. If you are somebody that has sugar cravings, eating more of those sweet vegetables will also help balance those sugar cravings. And a lot of vegetables are sweet. We just forget about it because we get tainted by how sweet a cupcake is, And so for raising healthy kids, I think it's all about, again, just having those things in your house that are healthy. We don't keep cookies in the house, and it's not that we don't have cookies. Last night was my husband's birthday, and my daughter and I made chocolate chip cookies for him, and it was awesome. And I have, the first Friday of every month, my daughter and I bake together, and so it's definitely a part of our household, and we have sweet treats and things like that, but it's for celebrations. Cookies and cakes are for birthdays and special occasions, and they're not everyday foods. We don't have dessert every day. And that's a lot of what Ruth and I end up dealing with, when we are working with adults that are, especially if they're trying to lose weight or overcome a sugar craving. A lot of things go back to childhood patterns. And if your family, your mom, and moms a lot of times just didn't know better. So I'm not faulting anyone's mom, but
True.
You want to comfort your child with food, and you had a bad, day, or kid comes home from school and is really upset, say, let's go get an ice cream, or let's, have a cupcake.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah. And so that is sending the wrong message to your child, because what you really want to do, and I do think parents are a lot more aware thanks to all of the blogs and the conversations that are happening, about parenting right now, but to be able to have that conversation with your child and say, what is it that really upset you today, and listen and walk them through that incident and let them, explore that. And if they're not ready to talk about it, there's the sand therapy where kids play with sand, or putting, coloring, if you can put a color in their hands in the coloring book or whatever, and sometimes the art will help bring out, then they'll be able to talk about those things. And it of course depends on the age of your kid too, what you end up doing, but let that emotion come out, and don't try to soothe it over with food, and don't let that be your go-to thing to make them feel better. And same thing with a shopaholic. Let's just go shopping, And so with kids, you do have the ability to let them work through that emotion, and the same thing, with bribing your kids too. And I'm not going to say I don't think you can survive without, occasionally bribing your kid with a cookie. But to make sure that that's not your go-to thing, and that you have that awareness around that you're not just trying to say to your kid all the time, okay, if you eat your vegetables, you can have dessert, because then you're rewarding one good food behavior with another not so good food behavior, So finding other ways. You can pick the movie this weekend for movie night. I'll read you a third book, and before your bed, or the second book, or however, or I'll let you stay up late an extra 15 minutes, or I'll let you, Skype with grandma in the morning, or, there's lots of other little things that your kids love. I'll let you ride in the front seat. We'll get some bubbles at the store. Like, there's lots of other things you can use aside from food to, you got to negotiate with your kids,
You can do that with yourself also.
Yes.
And exactly. So,
Yeah. Well, and I was just going to touch on, I think one of the biggest problems that we have when it comes to emotional eating is that we're so afraid to be able to express our emotions. And so if we're able to draw those to the forefront and to really say, oh, I'm feeling this right now, and I'm allowed to feel this, and I can own that I'm feeling this, anger, this sadness, this loneliness, this whatever it is, then we're much less apt to then turn towards comfort foods because we have an expression. And we're allowing ourselves to be free and say, this is who we are.
That's very true. Okay, if people want to, well, they've stopped kind of binging or emotional eating and want to get back to eating healthy, but then they get tripped up again and they go back into that same binge and
which is a very good thing. That's actually the way it works. I mean, to really change your diet and your lifestyle, you don't just change it one day and that's it. You never look back, or never think, you don't have a moment where you binge again or slip up. Yeah. I mean, make mistakes, and the mistakes that's the part of learning. And that's like the amazing part, the opportunity for you to be able to say, okay, what can I learn from this? And why did I do this? And sometimes, the further you go, and that's why, people work, I think, with someone like Ruth or I, or a coach, or an alternative practitioner, is because you need a support. You can't do it all alone, or it's much, much harder to do it all alone. That's why, just as human beings, we need our support systems. And so to have somebody there, when you do feel like
and it's so amazing because actually I just had a client who went through this, and he had a major, what he called slip up in his diet, just fell off of the wagon completely, had chocolate cupcakes and cookies and I mean all this stuff
for days,
for a day.
Oh, okay.
And actually he was able to get himself back on track, and the next day started off with a kale dish in the morning, and then moved on and really picked up the pace again. And he's like, oh, but I had this day and I couldn't get over it. And I said, we need to release the guilt from that, because it is such a big learning moment for you. The fact is, those days, the days that you had when you slipped up, used to be every day. And now they're once a month or once every couple months.
We never thought of it that way.
And so it's a beautiful transformation, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for actually doing the work and making that change. So a lot of it's releasing the guilt from that and saying, okay, I actually am doing really well.
Okay, I want to just stop for 1 second. This is a really good time to just talk about the two of you. You do individual counseling and
Correct.
Also corporate counseling. So how will people get in touch with you if they're listening and they want more information or want to talk to you about doing, working with them?
So both Katie and I have our specialties that we work with certain people on different things. For instance, I work with people mainly who have multiple chronic conditions, who are looking to lose 50 or more pounds, who are also diabetic, who have cirrhosis of the liver, who have underlying heart conditions, or who have had cancer. And a lot of times I don't just work with them, but I work with their families too to get them on track. And Katie?
Yeah, and I work with a lot of women and moms and family that are women that are either trying to have kids and that really know that they want to build a healthier place in their body because they ultimately want to have kids. And some of those women aren't even married, or not even dating anybody, that they just know that it's in their future and they're looking to rebuild their body. And then I work with a lot of families and kids that, families that are struggling with kids that have that are picky eaters or that are overweight, or that, moms and dads that are trying to change their lifestyle and they know they need to do it as a family. And I just work with them to guide them in that new direction.
So basically the best way to reach us is through our website at sagewellnessla.com. or you can reach me directly at ruth@sagewellnessla.com, or
And I'm Katie, Katie, at sagewellnessla.com.
Okay. I just thought that
Thank
would
you.
be a really
Yeah.
good place to put that in. We'll give it out again
Thank
at
you.
the end of the show.
Well, and I want to kind of comment on something that, Ruth was just talking about with some of the patterns that start, early on, and how to break these cycles. And when you do have those moments of regression where you're doing some of the things you used to do, and kind of creating that awareness. So as you begin to learn and change and change your ways, and you immediately know, okay, I had a bad day. Now I know I'm going to balance that with some good foods. I'm going to get back on the wagon. I'm going to start over, right? So you have that one level of awareness of, now I kind of know what to do, where maybe before you weren't sure how to balance out that, binge or that bad day or whatever it was. But a lot of things too is almost even coming up a little bit bigger and looking at the bigger picture. Because like I was talking about with one of my clients, last Friday, that comforts herself with sugar and things, and we were starting to explore that and said, okay, well, what is it? When did she start doing that, and what was really the root of that? And she was saying how she used to be made fun of a lot in school, and even by her brother and her own family, for her weight or things like that. So she and her mom would go shopping, and that was her mom's way of saying, okay, let's get you some new clothes. Let's look really cute, so nobody's going to make fun of you again. And part of her suffering really had to do with her, relationship with the friendships, right? I mean, and girls can be mean, and so that's one of the things that was from her childhood. But we looked at her circle of life, and her relationships were, at the highest peak. And so many of the things that are in her life now that were troubling her as a child. Like, she didn't have those good friends. She didn't have a boyfriend. Now she's married, and she has an amazing group of girlfriends that she, sees on a weekly basis. And she goes to church, and she has a wonderful church family that supports her, and all of these things that weren't in her life when she was younger, and she used to be, made fun of, but now are. And she wasn't recognizing that she really did build a life for herself that had the things in it that she always wanted, right? So where before she was using that sugar and stuff to comfort her when she was made fun of for the things that she felt she was really lacking in her life. She didn't have a good friend. She didn't have a boyfriend. She wasn't pretty enough, things like that. The messages she was telling herself. But now she has in her life. And I think that's really important to recognize that there are some tapes that play in your head that are from your childhood that need to be left in your childhood, because they're not in your adult life now. And you sometimes have to separate that and really take a look at, like, I'm an adult and I make my own decisions. Like, if I have had, other clients whose parents were really tough on them, and that, they would have that voice of their parent in their head, but they don't live with their parent anymore, and that parent isn't the influence over them that they used to be.
But it's very hard to break those cycles.
Of course.
You need help.
Yes. But that's like, it's just part of that recognition of that, your parent isn't going to send you to your room today. Your parent isn't going to not talk to you or, punish you. You're punishing yourself now. And that is part of getting to the root of dealing with that parent-child relationship and some of those tapes that play in your head, and separating your adult self from your child self, and recognizing that you have the power to change it as an adult, where maybe in that situation as a child, you are helpless. There's nothing, if there's nobody running to your defense between you and your parent if that relationship was complicated, but there is, now you can defend yourself. You're an adult now, whereas a child you couldn't. So yeah, you were maybe susceptible to some of those things as a child, but now you're an adult. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. It's just that you do sometimes need help.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. We
to
all
go
need
that-
help.
we all need help.
I mean, we went to Peter.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Hi, Peter.
But yeah, we all need help on a daily basis, and this is why it's so important to enlist your support system. And if you don't have a support system, to figure out who can be that support system and get them on board. And sometimes we do that in our work, actually a lot of times we do.
Yeah.
We say, who in your life can really support you, and who can you go to, and let's start that dialogue with them. And we help them with that dialogue so that they can build up that support system so they can make the changes they need to make.
And when you work with a client, is it like on an hourly basis? Is that how you usually book your day or your appointment? And do you call them appointments?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sessions. Yeah, we
Sessions,
usually have.
that's another go to.
Yeah, we usually have hour long, 30 to 60-minute sessions with a client, depending on just what their needs are and how where they're at.
And people will either come to our offices in LA. Sometimes we go to their homes, but then a lot of times we're doing it over the phone or Skype sessions too. So
I forget about Skype.
Yeah, I work with a lot of clients that are out of state. So
okay, that's our break music. So
the massage and kale music.
So we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, I think we're going to talk a little bit about tying this in with exercise.
Yes.
Because that's very important too. I mean, we have to give the whole picture. So when we come back, Katie, Ruth, and I are going to kind of round out our conversation and talk a little bit about food and exercises. They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. This is Alayna's Beauty Talk and more on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
Still taking the words of someone else. Ooh. Will you ever let go of your pride and listen to the voice inside? Or are you in it just for play? And when it's serious, do you look the other way? Yeah. Have you ever tried it? Ooh. Have you ever tried it? Oh, yeah. Have you ever tried it for yourself?
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Put your mind to it and use your heart and soul to get through it. Or when someone
What's up? It's your girls, Forbidden
Gems.
Gems, inviting you to join us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. sharp for the hottest, livest talk show, Forbidden Tuesdays.
Join us as we expose the new generation of love and dating, all the craziest entertainment news, and the wildest on-air interviews with the hottest artists.
So don't forget to tune in to
Forbidden
Tuesdays every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch and listen directly at LATalkLive.com, reality radio for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is
LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
You ready?
We did it!
Finally.
Hi, this is Sequoia Neff,
And this is Jay Rios.
And I'm Sherrod Moore.
inviting you to join us every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Battle of the Sexes as we discuss his and her views on topics no one wants to touch.
Where we keep it 100% real.
And interesting.
And it is pure comedy.
So don't forget to tune in to Battle of the Sexes Mondays at 7 p.m.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and AHA Radio.
Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band in New Birth.
And I'm Brahima Arsalan.
Inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby.
Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music.
So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You'll love it. Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio.
Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com, baby.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk, baby. We're music.
Hi,
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back to Alayna's Beauty Talk. We have been talking emotional eating almost the whole show, but we've been getting, Ruth and Katie have been giving out amazing information because it's just so important. So during the break, you said you wanted to come back before we switched over into exercise. So I'm going to turn the mic right back over to you.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to, make sure we made one other point really about emotional eating and the negative self-talk that so many people can end up, looking in the mirror, the things that they say to themselves. And you really want to surround yourself with positive people and make sure that you say those positive things to yourself. So, it's what we work one-on-one with people with, but it's sometimes, I just want to say, okay, look in the mirror and stop saying that stuff, stop saying any of those negative things to yourself, which is a little bit easier said than done, but also looking in your life. And if there are negative people or people that drain your energy, you need to find a way to move them out of your space. Because if you really are making a life change here, and you're really trying to get to the heart of some of your emotional eating, a lot of times it can come from those negative people that are in your space. And so you need to find a way, if it's, a coworker or even a friend, someone, quote unquote, a friend, you have those friends that just suck all of your energy, that are draining. And on one hand, you really love them, but on the other hand, you just can't do it. And I think that's, don't feel obligated to any of these relationships in your life. If they suck your energy, you have to move them out of your space.
And actually, just to take that to another level, so there was a movie that came out probably 10, 12 years ago now called What the Bleep Do You Know? And in that movie, they talked about the research that was done on water and on the water particles and how they would put water in a glass jar and then see and then put a word on that glass jar. So a glass jar might read happy, and then another jar might read angry. And then they took those two jars and they examined the water molecules, and the water molecules in the angry jar were all kind of chaotic and totally dissimilated. And the ones that were in the happy jar were beautiful and, almost effervescent. And when you're drinking, so much water into your body, it's important to be able to surround yourselves with those positive images, because that's essentially, what we're made of is water. So that's another reason why positive messaging and talk is so important.
And it's also what, you say when you're out with your friends too. If you have a friend that's, looking at herself in the mirror, trying on a new pair of jeans, says, I look fat. These jeans make me look fat. Well, you stop her as her friend and you say, you know what? I don't want you to say that. I don't want to hear you talk bad about yourself. I'm not going to listen to you do that. So you need to say something right now that you love about your body or that you love about yourself, and you stop your friends from doing that, or your children, or whatever it is. And those words that you say around others, even so, sometimes they're saying it, sometimes you're saying it, sometimes, oh, mommy needs to lose weight, or I need to lose weight, or I look fat in this. That's all negative self-talk, and you don't need to say that. It's, I want to get healthy, or some of those positive words that you want to put into the situation. Go ahead.
Well, and we tend to perpetuate that in our society, right? Even as far as we ask each other, how are you? And that how are you statement 90% of the time leads to something negative. And what would our world be like if we all stopped and we asked each other, so what's new and good in your life? It's a completely different vibration. It's a different kind of talk. It brings in and makes you stop and pause and think, wow, what is new and good? And that's
sometimes, we feel obligated to belittle ourselves, or to say, you don't want to say something too positive about yourself because you don't want to seem like you're bragging or things like that, so say something negative in order to counterbalance something that's really positive. You know what I mean? And so that's the kind of thing that you just don't say it. Don't put the negative thing out there. Just pause. And when you do hear yourself say that, say, I'm just not going to say it next time. Or if you're headed to a party or a gathering, and just play in your head, just say, you know what, I'm going to make sure that I compliment some people today. I'm going to bring some positivity into this room and have that awareness before you go. So you don't walk away from the party saying like, you know what, I didn't really talk to so-and-so, or I didn't really say anything, that nice to anyone, or whatever it is, but you always remember the people that did, the people that when you go to a party that make you feel great about yourself, that have incredible things to say. And that's, the kind of person you want to be.
Yeah. And when you make that effort, you're much less likely to eat the foods that you don't want.
Yeah, you're bringing in all the good things into your life. So on every level. So yes, food is one thing, and more green vegetables, yay. But more positive people.
Did we still didn't get through everything?
So we're big tea drinkers. Ruth and I are big fans of teas, and one of my favorite tea companies is mountainroseherbs.com, and they make this woman's balancing tea. And they also have a lot of
men's tea too.
Yeah, men's tea, a lot of specialty tea blends depending on, if whatever you're going through in your life, whether it's menopause or pregnancy. I drink the pregnancy blend right now. And so this tea has peppermint leaf in it, and nettles, and raspberry leaf, and ginger root, and dandelion. So all of these things, the peppermint is uplifting and very good for your digestive system. The nettles are very nutrient dense, and it's a dark leafy green. So you're getting it in a dried herb form, but in your tea. So you're getting the minerals from that nettle. These are highly, nutrient dense
teas.
And
are they only available online?
Yeah, they're stored. They're out of
company.
Oregon, Portland, or they're out of Eugene, Oregon. But they do, you order online. And then and raspberry leaf is very tonic for the woman's body and the reproductive system. Ginger root is really great anti-inflammatory. And again, it's very warming for the body. Ginger, if you have a headache, slice up some fresh ginger in a cup of hot water, and that can oftentimes help relieve that headache. And dandelion leaf, which is very cleansing for the liver. Chamomile is in here, which is very calming. So it's a really nice blend.
It's definitely a good blend.
Yeah, and there's even a little bit of
now,
stevia.
Is that tea bags or is that loose?
This is loose, and you just get this is loose like this.
Okay, I can see.
But then you can see, you just get a little tea bag or a tea infuser, and make them at home. And then. So we really believe in kind of using teas to help balance, because a lot of emotional eating and things do tie to your hormones, which your hormones can be out of balance because of a lack of minerals in your diet. And so getting minerals in, through teas is a great thing to do. What were you going to say?
Oh, and I was just going to say, too, if you wanted to go local, Peter Bedard has the Create Your Health teas that are fantastic.
Amazing.
Yes,
I was just, a few weeks ago, I guess, I was at his new store downtown, and it's adorable.
Yeah. So, just know there are also local choices where you don't have to pay the cost of shipping, but overall, tea is just a magnificent way to get in those minerals and those extra boosts.
Yeah, and herbal teas too. Just lots, and you can put honey in it to sweeten it up a little bit. And then I was just we were going to talk about the importance of breakfast and not skipping meals, because a lot of times emotional eating has to do with weight loss, and so a lot of times people think if they're going to lose weight, they're going to skip a meal, and it is just so detrimental to your body to try and skip meals in order to lose weight. And so we just especially talk about the importance of a good breakfast. And even if you're running out the door, make sure you take something, an apple with a little peanut butter. They make these little peanut butter packets to go. This is a Justin's classic almond butter, and you can have this when you get to work. You can have an oatmeal blend. Ruth and I both love these. Ruth turned me on to this, and we saw them at the Natural Foods Expo last year. Can't wait to go see them again. But they make these organic superfood oat-based cereals. This gluten-free, vegan, no dairy, soy, additives, preservatives, anything. This tastes so good.
Yeah, they taste amazing.
And my husband is one of those that tends to run out the door, and I just throw this at him. I'm like, you have to eat breakfast. So he'll eat this when he gets to work, and he just adds hot water. But you could also just add, whatever milk choice you want.
Yeah, I think they recommend,
It doesn't have to be hot. It can be cold. And this is,
what's that called?
It's called organic superfood oat-based cereal. It doesn't have
It's by Vigilant Eats.
Yeah, Vigilant Eats. There
Okay,
we go.
that's what
Thank
I
you.
was looking for.
I know. I'm like, it was not a real name that like. Yeah.
And are those available in stores here, or are those online also?
They're available at some Whole Foods, and I think they're getting a wider distribution now, and they're also available online.
Yeah, I've seen them at airports now. So for those business travelers who need that quick, get and go type food.
And especially when you do travel and you don't want to eat airline food, these are great things. So they're about $4. So it's not like a cheap, breakfast compared to some of the things you could get, but it's also $4 and it's nutrient dense and it's a meal, and so that's
it's healthy.
Yeah, it's going towards your
healthy.
health rather than detracting from your health.
Yeah. So so those are kind of the highlights of some of the other things that I brought. I feel like.
All right.
Yeah.
Ready to get to exercise?
I was just going to say, so talking about the importance of exercise.
All right, you go.
Oh, you can't talk about nutrition and health without talking about exercise, and especially when it comes to emotional eating. As you know, exercise really boosts up those endorphins, and they make you feel good. So if you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling low, or if you're having some emotional reaction, whether it be anger or sadness, it's so beneficial to go out and just take a walk, even if it's for 10 or 15 minutes, because that boosts up those endorphin levels, and you are able to get over it a lot faster.
A lot faster. Trust me, I'm a walking coach, and I'm always kind of stressed out. I walk a lot. Because if you're sitting there, your mind you play that recording over and over and over. If you get out and walk and you start breathing and just looking, at the trees and the birds and the squirrels, it makes you smile. It makes you happy. Mm-hmm. And you're moving. You're not sitting. So it moves everything in your brain.
Yeah. And I love walking as a meditation.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
And one of the things that I love telling people is when you go out and walk, touch the leaves and just say, what it is. Say leaf in your head, or touch a fence and say fence, and allow yourself to be grounded by that and put yourself in that present moment.
That's very true. I have to do that. I talk to the squirrels a lot.
That definitely works too.
Yeah.
Well, and especially, if you're in a cold climate too, sometimes it's really hard to motivate to go outside. But if you can get out of the house and get that fresh air and, really just bundle up and get out there for like 10 minutes. And
the people on the East Coast can now shovel.
Yeah. Yep. And then, there's a lot of things that you can do just to start your day with stretching and some movement in your body. And, in yoga, there's the cat-cow pose where you kind of arch your back and then you round your back and you breathe in when you arch, and then you breathe out when you round. And syncing up that breathing with some of that movement and really moving your spine will help release a lot of toxins and things that just get stored in your body. You have a lymphatic system that does actually, it's supposed to clean out all of the toxins in your body, but your lymphatic system is a series of one-way valves, and you have a lot of lymph nodes here under your arms and in your gut and things like that. And so, your heart is two-way valves. It pumps in, it pumps out, but your lymphatic system is not going to pump out unless it has that movement to help things move it along. So we'll do arm circles to really kind of get, under here, or even just massaging, and then, and the, movement along your spine with your cat-cows or some spine, stretches, will really help kind of clear out those toxins, which are emotional. We hold on to our emotions, and this is part of that cleansing, is you want to detoxify your body and get rid of those emotions and flush it out through exercise.
Yeah, exercise is so important. It's even, besides how it makes you look, it just makes you feel so much better.
Yeah.
And I think that there's also a misconception about exercise, that if you want to exercise, you have to do it hard and fast and, really push. But a lot of times it's just that simple walking movement or those simple stretches that can make the biggest difference.
I tend to like to go to the gym and really work out hard, but not everybody likes that. Mm-hmm. You have to find what works for you and and how it fits into your daily life.
And speaking of fit, Ruth, why don't you talk about that thing on your arm?
Oh, well,
you have one.
So I have the Fitbit Force, which I got for the holidays, and I happen to love it because it does keep you accountable for your activity during the day. Shows you how many steps, and all links back to a website and an app, so you can kind of track your daily and weekly numbers. So it does help to keep the motivation.
Yeah, I got
up.
them for some of the men in my family, and my dad, who wants to lose weight this year, lives in Houston, Texas. Shout out to my dad. And he has been using it really because he works downtown in the courthouses, and there's a series of tunnels and things like that, and he keeps walking further and further. He's like, oh, I didn't walk as far as I thought, so tomorrow I'm going to walk further, and it's really has been help motivate
I've
him.
seen it help motivate a lot of people. There's a lot of different ones out there.
A lot, yeah.
So you have to find one that you connect with.
Oh yeah, and that's a big piece of it. It's that connection, because not one little device fits everyone.
No, so you have to do your research.
Yep.
And
Yep.
find which one works
Yeah.
for you.
Yep.
So, speaking of techniques, there's a few more things I want to talk about.
Yeah,
in
because
terms
we
of
have like a couple
Okay.
more minutes, and then we gotta close out the
More,
show.
I just want to make sure we kind of give some like techniques for when you're dealing with your emotions and you're eating, or when you're sitting there staring and you have the opportunity to have something that you're craving, but you want to choose not to do that. You do need to find that thing that's going to help release your stress. So we've talked a lot about, a few different things that you can do, but exercise is certainly one of them. But sometimes you're not in the moment to really run around.
That's for sure.
And go for a jog or whatever it is. So, a breathing technique, being able to take a series of deep breaths, or we do one where you kind of breathe in to the count of 10, and then you start at 1, you take in a deep breath 1, and release it 1, and then you count to 2, 1, 2, and then release it 1, 2, and you go all the way up to 6 or all the way up to 10. So you're ultimately breathing in for the count of 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get it, and then breathe out. And so taking a minute to do a breathing exercise, or finding something that will help calm you down if stress is the reason that you're eating, that you can then make that choice. And then after you do that, then evaluate how it is that you really feel. But you start to make notes, observe your day and your diet, and when it is you're craving that food. And if it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which a lot of people will have an afternoon sugar craving, see if there's something that you can start to do at 2:45 that might prevent that. Whether it is go for a walk or try that breathing technique. Make sure you're eating a really good nutrient dense lunch.
Drinking water. Drinking water is also so important.
That's what we haven't touched on is water.
Yeah. So many times hunger actually is, dehydration is disguised as hunger. So if you find yourself hungry at inappropriate times throughout the day or craving certain foods, it's really worth drinking, a half to 8 ounce glasses of an 8 ounce glass of water, and to see if you're actually hungry or not. And so a lot of times it is dehydration, so it helps to curb those cravings and helps you to lose weight too.
Yeah, especially starting your day with a glass of water if you're a coffee drinker, because coffee can be very dehydrating and pull nutrients, out of your blood or out of your body. And so because, coffee is also a diuretic, and that's why a lot of people drink coffee, is to help keep things flowing, right? But if they flow through the body too quickly, then your body doesn't get a chance to absorb all the nutrients. So that's a whole nother topic, which deals with digestion. Which
we'll touch on in another show. Have you guys definitely back.
But ultimately, if you can start your day with a glass of water before you have that coffee or caffeinated beverage, you're putting some of the hydration back in your body.
What if you drink the water after the coffee?
It's better to drink it before. Yeah.
Okay, well now I got to
This
change.
is what we're saying. Yeah. And drink
That's
it.
why I just asked you
so
that, I usually drink it after.
That way you're starting from a positive and not from a negative. So
you're lining your stomach with the water.
Yeah, your body's been working hard all night long to detoxify. I mean, that's why sleep is so important. An entire another show, right?
Oh my God, I guess I have to have you back on for the whole year to get through all this.
Yeah, and so your body's been working hard, so you want to give it a little water to give it a break, first thing in the morning, rehydrate it, so you're starting from a really good place. Then have your coffee. Savor that.
Okay. I will try that.
Okay.
That's so funny. Except I like everything warm in the. I guess I could.
You
keep
can
the warm up
You
the
can
water.
warm up water.
Yes, I do
lemon.
that.
Warm water with a slice of lemon.
Yeah.
It's very alkalizing. It will really help your detoxify first thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, with coffee or any other thing that you crave, make sure you really do savor it and enjoy it and take the time.
That I do.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because a lot of people will run out the door and they'll have their coffee while they're in their car in traffic or whatever
That
it
I
is,
won't do.
which is very stressful. So, I always think of the Folgers commercials and how amazing everybody seems to be, in the woods enjoying their cup of coffee, smiling. The kids are playing beautifully together. Nobody's whining. And but that doesn't exist for a lot of people. So, think of your own body, your own anxiety levels and things like that when you're putting things in that maybe kind of contribute to anxiety. Like coffee can be a food that causes anxiety, or caffeine, actually. So.
And just slowing down, I think that was right on. Slowing down and savoring. If you're having that cup of coffee, if you're having that cookie, if you're having even that chip, and
just enjoy it.
Enjoy it, taste it.
Yeah.
Taste how it is on your tongue, and the difference, how when you start to chew it, how the taste changes. Really observe that.
Wow. All right, we're going to have to close out the show. Oh my gosh, this went so fast.
It did.
We didn't even touch too much on the exercise. We'll have to do that.
Yeah.
What's okay? This was more important. I do a lot of shows on exercise. I don't always have experts like you that can really relate to people through nutrition. I think this was broken down in such a nice way that people could really relate. Our listeners could really relate to it.
Well, thank you very much for having us on.
This has been fun.
Yeah. It has that much. Yeah, we always have it. We didn't laugh as much as we usually do because this wasn't a topic that had a lot to laugh about, but this was really important. You can tell that we really enjoyed talking about it.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted you to give out your websites, your names, any final thoughts that you want to, say before we have to close the show.
I think Ruth Smith, I really want us to really think that we need to slow down and to really savor the moment. And I'm Ruth Smith, Ruth at sagewellnessla.com or sagewellnessla.com.
And I'm Katie Hill, Katie, Katie, at sagewellnessla.com. And I just agree with what Ruth said. I mean, it's just take the time to prioritize yourself a little bit and, find something that's going to really satisfy you and give you that satisfaction in your life that doesn't come from your food, but find another source for that satisfaction. And go back, look at a time in your life when you really were happy and in a good place, and see what are some of the things you did at that time in your life, and try to go back to that.
Great advice. All right, I have to close out the show. Thank you for all your information, both Katie and Ruth. This was an amazing show. Okay, now to switch gears to next week's show, which is definitely a big switch. I have the beauty bloggers coming back in for their monthly beauty blogging show, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Jen Matthews will be here with her gang of beauty bloggers, so I'm sure it's definitely going to be a big beauty show. All right, everybody, so taking what we said today, try to incorporate it in little steps into your life to start to be more aware of what you eat. And if you have any questions or you get stuck, Sage Wellness is here to help. And I will have them back on my show probably in another couple months before you have the baby to get you back.
Yeah.
All right, everybody get outside. Eat some kale this week.
That's
Let's
right.
say,
Massage your kale.
Massage your kale this week and get some exercise. So everybody have a really good week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Watch me take them dudes down with my bad arm. Saying that you about to lose weight. I'm about to spend it on you. We be walking around the mall with 2 shakes. She like my style, my swag, and my similes. Let's just keep on kissing, never stop like infinity. I mean physically, you off the charts, boo. You little thief, you stole my heart, boo. Just follow my lead. It's time to let you know you're better than beautiful.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.